day 3 of Cypher. Gaurav, Vivek, thank you for being here. So we've had a bunch of discussions, sessions over the last couple of days, discussing agentic AI across sectors. And today in this session, what we want to explore is in the lending space, how agentic AI is going to cause a lot of drastic change probably. So to start off with, I want to start with you, Gaurav. Um, so I want to talk about the whole ethics, empathy bit, the empathy and the efficiency bit. So with agentic AI, how do you ensure that there's efficiency from the lender side, and at the same time ensuring there is empathy from the borrower side? Because collection is always associated with a lot of pressure tactics. So how is agentic AI bringing a change in this space?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. So just to kind of take a step back, and if you, all of you will relate to this. So if you look at the entire Indian financial ecosystem, right, whether it is payments or you are seeing with lending, especially over the last 10 odd years, we have moved away from high value to low value, right, and high latency to low latency, right? So what we are witnessing is insane amount of new to credit, right, new to bank customers coming into the financial ecosystem, which has been unprecedented. And we are also seeing the value of transactions going down significantly, right? Value of what you see on credit card transactions, UPI, as well as what you are seeing now on the loan side, which means that as we are thinking of AI, I think where you are seeing AI making the most amount of transformation very, very early, right, is largely in financial services. And especially when it comes to low value transactions, where you are essentially operating at population scale, right? So if you look at the power of AI and technology, I think to our mind, technology is the only thing which can give you back time, right? And second is, it is extremely, extremely inclusive, right? And that's why you are seeing a wave of how the entire banking ecosystem is embracing it. Now, what we are seeing is a paradigm shift in the entire collection space because of AI. If you look at the entire collections ecosystem, whether it was debt or it was insurance or utility, AI is now becoming a horizontal infrastructure as far as collections is concerned, especially because your value of transactions are very, very low, and the customer outreach now is in tier 2, tier 3, rural parts of the country. So collection, to just summarize and end, has moved from what used to be a one vector problem, which was largely around collection efficiency, right, to now a three vector problem. You have collection efficiency at the core, but you also have to factor in the cost of collection, right, because the value of transactions have come down. So your cost structure has to be very, very different to make that collection efficient. And the third and most important vector which is now playing out is compliance, right? And that's where with AI you are seeing compliance at design, and it's becoming at the heart of all and every customer interaction. So with AI, what we are seeing is, just to give you a sense, and Vivek can chat about it, today we are just at Spocto, just to leave it with you, we are the largest agentic AI at play as far as collections is concerned. We have every day close to 4 to 5 crore customer interactions. On a monthly basis, we are now over 100 crore customer interactions, all via AI, right? And in different shapes of form, orchestrating digital, orchestrating calling, orchestrating the last mile on the field, right? So that's what you are seeing today, AI making that kind of significant push.
Got it. Thank you, Gaurav. Vivek, I want to talk about replicating human judgment. Now, much of the collection relies on, say, the human tone, the sensitivity, there's a lot of those nuances that come into picture. So how close are we to building AI models, or are we there yet, where we are kind of addressing all these things, the human bit of the machines?
Right. This is a great question, especially because when you look at collections and scale, and when there is a lot of pressure on the person who is speaking to the customers, they may actually lose a little bit of that human touch, which is extremely important in this case. keeping in mind that most of the people are actually very situational in default, and they would appreciate a lot of help in how they will get a way to repay back, and that requires a lot of human empathy. Now, if you tell somebody saying, hey, I want you to talk to 500 people today and then tell them what it needs to pay, that human touch is actually lost from a human. So where agentic AI has helped, and it's one of the most natural fit use cases, is because it is actually able to scale well with the most calm and neutral tone. Doesn't matter whether you're talking to one person or whether you're talking to a million people, right? So the same bit of empathy goes. Obviously, beyond a certain point, I don't think we have a model which will work well, and that those special cases we will actually refer to real humans, and these humans are now able to take this curated list of smaller customers where they're able to act with full empathy. So combining agentic AI and humans together has given us the best outcome so far. It scaled really well.
And where do you think the machine would need to stop and the human should step in? Are there specific cases or anything that you can throw light on?
Yes, so there will be a whole lot of cases in which somebody will have a very esoteric problem. I mean, I can take a very extreme example, right? Like in the rural parts of India, let's say that there was a specific case of a farmer whose harvest had failed, and then he had to go ahead and then say that, okay, I will not be able to pay back now, but then like when my next harvest is ready, I'll be able to pay back in 3 months, right? Now, at this point, the AI can't really do much apart from gather all this information, which is extremely important, and then pass it along to a human who can, go back and tell the bank saying that, okay, let's go ahead and then find out a negotiating terms of the repayment, which can suit both the farmer as well as the bank, because who's more interested in getting back the money. And if he's willing to pay back as long as we reach out to him at the right time. So AI helped get all the necessary data points. When will the person be able to repay back? When will why is the person not able to pay back now? All those cases. Or let's say there's been a death in the family. There's no point if you bombard somebody for like the next few weeks, because he will probably not be in the right frame of mind. So getting the data and that empathy initially, and then taking it back to a more detailed analysis of what is the best thing, that is where I think you can take it forward.
Gaurav, this one's for you. So in terms of, say, hyper-personalization, now with so much happening with AI developments, I mean, that is the go-to step. Everyone wants it very customized for them. But in the process, are we getting into some form of over-automation, especially in the collection space, because that is where a lot of human element is still required. So how do you look at this thing?
So what we are seeing is largely, I think, to your point, the entire piece of orchestrator, right, like Vivek was sharing, is largely a super agent with child agents controlling the entire outcome, right? And the goal on which you are actually training the super agent. The super agent then in turn is going in and controlling the child agents which have subtasks and goals, right? And there is a phenomenal interplay, real time, basis the next best action, right? So what's happening now is, if you look at, if I take a step back, and if some of you might have experienced, collections was happening for the last 40 years, right? So it's not something which is new, but how was it happening, right? So if I give you an example, that if you have a loan from a bank, or if you have a credit card from a bank, and if you miss a payment, right, you will be reached out digitally. Somebody from the bank will call you, right, and somebody will try and land at your doorstep, right? And God forbid, if you have multiple products running from the same bank, right, multiple teams will actually reach out to you, right? Now, what's happening here is that that element today is not required, right? Because the orchestrator is largely controlling all the channels of digital and ensuring that hyper-personalization, so the orchestrator knows that you are in Karnataka, and given the demographics and the data it has, that how does it hyper-personalize that for you, right? And if you're not able to actually respond, react, then it hands over to the next agent, right? So what's happening today is where you started seeing human intervention very early in the collections life cycle, that is going away, right? So where humans are still going to play the role is going to be the last mile, right? Where somebody is not accessible or somebody is significantly overdue. Somebody is overdue by, say, 180 days or 365 days, and there is a discussion which is required with the customer. Obviously, a human interaction will be required on the ground. But what we are gradually seeing is what used to be, if I have to give a data point to all of you, just in the last 18 months of what we are seeing, what used to be 100% human interaction now has come down to almost 35% human interaction in very, very large part of the collections ecosystem. That part has been completely taken over by digital and hyper-personalized AI bots, right, who are now interacting with the customer to get them to ensure that those goals are met.
And any challenges or any unique examples that stood out in this whole case, like the stat that you just said, where the human interactions has gone down? So anything that you can throw light on?
So what you see is largely in terms of just the contactability, right? So I'll just give you an example of one of the largest bank in the country, right? For them to actually engage and deal with, say, 15 lakh farmers on Kisan credit card, right? So if 15 lakh farmers have to be contacted, it is not possible for them to contact these 15 lakh farmers either through human callers or by sending people from their branches to interact with these customers, right? But now what is possible is that you can actually contact and get a react and response from these 15 lakh odd farmers real time, right? You can do it instantly, right? And then you know what cohort of customers you need to have what kind of interactions, right? So one is from an infra perspective, a lot has changed, right, in terms of how you're going about it. What is also going to happen is, if you look at from challenges as we move forward, right, which to my mind is going to be very, very critical, and it will depend on different sectors. I can speak for financial services, and as you must be aware, RBI has already put out their entire framework on AI governance, right? So to your point, I think what will be important is the governance around AI, especially in financial services when you are interacting and engaging with customers, a lot of pieces around trust, bias, transparency, auditability, all of that is something which is going to be very, very important. So I think as things start scaling, I think some of those challenges will come. The other challenge might be, impersonation, right? I think, what you're seeing with technology, so those risks will remain. But I think a robust governance framework is what is going to be the critical aspect as we scale this in financial services.
So Vivek, just a continuation to that. So especially building for an Indian landscape comes with its own challenges, the kind of diverse ecosystem that we have. So can you just talk to me about the challenges that you face while building AI models here? And how is it different from, say, the global market?
So I think India as a country is actually having so much of a rich background and diversity in its culture, so many different languages, so many different variants of languages spoken. And what makes complete sense in one part of India may not even resonate with somebody else. So I think the biggest challenges was in ensuring that we have a reasonable understanding of different cohorts of customers and then trying to build hyper-personalized bots which are able to speak in a way that those customers actually resonate with, right? Like, to give an example, like something which would work very well in Jaipur may work very well in the Northeast. And to build something which will work for somebody who is a 10-year-old loan, which the person may have even forgotten about, but that may be the reason why he is not able to get a new loan, right? So getting all these nuances and then building a bot which can not just focus on getting the money back, but actually educate the customer saying that, okay, look, I'll be your partner in helping you repaying this and will also enable you to further unlock future loans, which may be more important to you, is something which took a lot of time to build. And a lot of the standard AIs which work, which try to be an expert in everything, did not work. So we had to narrow this down to something which is well-trained based on the collection experience which we have had and data which we have had over the last few years. So building something which is very customized for each cohort of customers, it took a lot of time and experimentation, and then we have got exceedingly better at it. That's been one of the challenges.
So were there any, like you just quoted, region-specific challenges also arise, right? Anything in the demographics or anything in the kind of consumer behavior that you see?
Yes and no. I think the biggest one is getting the lot of the language models which are built globally, I think, are still tuned towards the Western Hemisphere. So getting them working with Indian accents, getting them working in terms of what are the right phrases and idioms which work well. It took a lot of churn and research, but I think it's come out to be reasonably well now.
All right, sure. Just coming to the end of this conversation, just one last question for the both of you all. Do you see a future where agentic AI can fully take over the collection space? Or do you still see a human element as a mandate? Start with you, Gaurav.
I think, at least my personal view is it will, given the pace at which, we are seeing AI, to my mind, transforming this space. Just to give you a sense, when we were starting to build this out, in terms of, I'll just leave that thought with you on conversational AI, right? And the questions which were coming out was, will a customer be comfortable speaking with a bot, right? They are more comfortable speaking with a human, but will they be comfortable speaking with the bot? That's already changed, right? Because the product has become so good, right, that it has what we internally call is that a bot is more human than a human, right? Is not going to get pursued by a lot of emotions which is induced when you are actually at the front and center of interacting with customers. So we are already seeing that. I would say from a spectrum, just to give you a sense, we are already seeing, as I said, 65-35 in favor of where agentic is already starting to take over this space. I think over the next year or so, you will see much more rapid change, with models becoming much, much better in terms of problem solving. So while you might have for some time some level of human interaction, in a country like ours, the last mile might still be human, right? But what we are seeing in other markets where we are present today, just for example, in the Middle East, there is no mandate for you to actually interact with a end customer and send out somebody to their homes, right? But that's not the case in India, right? The last mile today in India is still serviced by humans, but in other markets it's not, which means that in other markets, agentic is already going to be 100%, right? So in India, you will also see that piece playing out very, very soon.
Vivek, your point?
Yeah. So I do think that AI will increasingly have a lot more role to play, especially agentic, because if you have ever gone through one of those customer support IVR loops, you would have been extremely frustrated with it, right? And at this point, like, you want to make it such that if you speak to somebody, why do you prefer a human on the phone? Because they understand what you want and then they respond to you. Now, if agentic is able to give all of that at scale, right, it just makes a whole lot sense, not just for the lenders or the people who want to collect, but also for the borrowers. And that's where I believe that it's actually even more relevant today at scale to have agentic. Yes, as Gaurav said, I think we will always have a need for humans, but that need for humans will be focused where they will really add value. Today, I think, like, how many houses can a single person visit in a day? In Bangalore, maybe 2, maybe in other places they can visit 10. But let's make sure that those are the ones which are actually worth visiting, and the ones which don't have to be, can be completely covered by agentic.